We all know when Darth Vader and Palpatine died on the Death Star, they were supposedly the last Sith. But then Darth Krayt came around and created the Rule of One, and then when he was killed, the Sith were wiped out for good, right? Actually, there was another Sith in the galaxy who not only was around at the time of Vader and Palpatine's rule of the galaxy, but was actually a Sith Lord that served under Revan and Malak for the Sith Empire. But how did this forgotten Sith outlive everybody and become somewhat of a god to his people? That is a question I aim to answer in today's video. The story of Darth Glavik begins during the Jedi Civil War, where he was a highly esteemed military commander who was revered for his successful campaigns and battles against the Jedi and the Republic. But despite being a brilliant commander, Glavik was often spending his time in isolation and always was meditating. And in fact, he spent so much time meditating that it made many Sith believe he was insane. He would spend his time in meditation in attempts to see the future and to find out new ways to win battles. He spent so much time in meditation that he declared himself the Lord of the Mind's Eye. But for many years, his visions would not grant him any advantages in the war. And this was until he had a vision that would change the course of his life alongside many other Sith acolytes. While he was in a deep meditation, he received a vision of a distant world that's completely engulfed in dark, thick clouds with purple lightning tracing the atmosphere. After awaking from this vision, Glavik would become obsessed with locating this planet and conquering it, believing that the dark side of the Force had shown him this for some specific reason that held great significance to the Sith. This vision of his would be something that plagued his mind until he believed he found the system where it was located. After this, he would leave the war to go to the planet and conquer it, but not before killing everyone who ever questioned his vision. As his ship, the Dying Sun, traveled through hyperspace, Glavik would continue his meditations to pinpoint the exact location where he was drawn to, and this meditation would yield results as it led him to the planet of Naira. However, the visions could not tell him what lay on the planet's surface, because as they came closer to the planet, his visions and the Force seemingly became more difficult to navigate. And this, instead of discouraging him and making him want to move on, this only furthered his obsession with the planet. And finally, after a year of traveling through hyperspace in the year 3956 BBY, they finally came out of hyperspace and wasted no time in searching for the planet. However though, when turning on the sensors to locate the planet, they failed to take the necessary precautions, and soon after that, they were soon attacked by Republic Strike Force. But fueled by the dark side and their determination to reach the planet, they managed to put up such a fight that caused major Republic casualties, but at the cost of them crash landing on the planet and major Sith casualties. And yet this would work to their advantage as their escape pods landed on the planet of Naira. And despite a large majority of the crew dying in the crash, the Sith survivors all united under Darth Glavik and his tyrannical leadership. But due to there being no feasible way to leave the planet, he saw no other choice but to find out a way to prolong his life. And he actually would succeed at this thanks to an Oobleck, which was originally used by Sith Lords to put themselves in suspended animation for brief moments or for a few years. And Glavik saw this and pushed it past the limits people thought were possible. At first, he would only stay in suspended animation for 100 years, only to awake and shortly check on the progress his people's made. He eventually, though, woke up less and less often, to much of the dismay of his twisted and inbred followers. And over the course of hundreds of years, his people would find out that the planet and its weather patterns were to blame for the anomalies within the Force. Eventually, Glavik would abandon his people and stop waking up for good, and would stay in suspended animation for the rest of his seemingly immortal life. And instead of discouraging his people, his followers started to view him as a sleeping god and named him the Dying Sun, which was his ship's name. And to try and appease their new god, the followers would bring natives to him and sacrifice him on a stone altar. But things would be thrown out of balance in the year 81 BBY, as more and more parties start to settle on the planet for its natural resources. And this would cause Glavik's eternal sleep to be disrupted. But despite him becoming more and more restless, he was unable to awaken from his state of suspended animation after spending so many years in stasis. And his followers also tried to awaken him, but to no avail, due to their lack of proper knowledge and proper tools. And in the year 132 ABY, during the rule of the Galactic Emperor Darth Krayt, one of Krayt's followers would discover the rumors about the resting place of the Dying Sun, Darth Glavik. And Darth Krayt, realizing that this Sith was close to Malak and Revan and possibly was in the possession of many Sith holocrons, Darth Krayt saw this as a perfect opportunity to increase his knowledge and expand his range of influence. So to do this, he would send one of his followers to the planet. And after some searching, Darth Vuric would locate the lost Sith followers of Darth Glavik. And Darth Krayt would send Darth Vuric to locate the lost Sith followers of Glavik. And as Darth Vuric tried to locate the resting place of the sleeping god, Darth Glavik's followers would resist him, and many of them would sacrifice themselves to protect their god. And despite killing many of the Sith followers protecting their sleeping god, Vuric was unable to locate Darth Glavik due to a fugitive Jedi interfering with his affairs. And this would lead to a major confrontation between him and several other Jedi. And while he was able to injure and kill some of them, Darth Vuric was unsuccessful in his location of Darth Glavik. He would be forced to retreat, and due to his failure in recovering Darth Glavik, Vuric would not report back to his master and instead hire bounty hunters to kill the Jedi. And after that, finally locate the long-forgotten Sith. Unfortunately though, we do not know how the story ends or what happens afterwards, due to Disney buying Star Wars and cutting off all EU projects. So at the time of recording this video, the fate of Glavik is still unknown. But anyway, that is the story of the Sith who outlasted Vader and Palpatine. What do you think should be the ending of this story? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.